Welcome back, Buffalo sports fans, to another episode of Buffalo Sports Banter. Obviously, last week we did not have an episode. Just was kind of a crazy one. We did record one, but then after the cuts and everything came out, because we do record these Monday nights, Monday mornings usually. Just ended up not thinking it was best to drop that episode, but we're back now. I know you guys have been kind of waiting for the answer to the trivia question from our last episode, so I'm going to just say that quick, and then we'll get on to the show. The question was, who was the last offensive lineman the Bills drafted in the first round in the past 15, 20 years? And the answer ended up being Eric Wood, 28th overall in the 2009 draft. Ended up working out pretty well. So maybe this upcoming offseason after this year, the Bills go O-line. Maybe they go, right tackle, something that a lot of people say if Spencer Brown can't live up to the hype. Maybe they go in a different direction. But we are back. Hunter's back. We're ready to roll. It's a week from today. The Bills will be playing, and about a week and about 8 hours, I believe, that they would be playing. So exciting time, excited to get going. Hunter, how are you feeling with the opening game week away?
Yeah, it's great to have NFL football back. Of course, Lions Chiefs on Thursday to kick it all off. I think a lot of us know where we will side there. We'll see what transpires. But yes, and it's interesting. Once Sunday comes, I'm going to be looking forward to turning Red Zone on, but the anticipation will still be present because even all throughout Sunday, there's still one game remaining, and it's the game that matters most here. So it's going to be really, oh man, I wish it was here, but why not save the best for last? So looking forward to it. 1 week from today, indeed.
Yeah. Well, before we get into some talk about week one, I just mentioned roster cuts. Everything came last week. We didn't really get to talk about it too much. We did talk about a little bit of the first 7, 5 cuts, whatever, but we haven't talked about the full roster yet. So 53 man is here. There were some surprises. It was even a trade that Brandon Bean, you know how much he loves to make trades in this time of the year. Once preseason ends, that kind of week in between, he's usually makes one trade at least. If you look at the past 5 years that he's been here. But he did make another one. Boogie Basham did go over to the Giants for a late round pick swap. So not really much. I mean, I guess if you're looking at it and you're trying to flip this into a positive, it's just you got something for him. Obviously, for a second round pick, not the best situation to have to trade a second round pick. 3 years later, I believe, 2 years later. So it stinks to see, but it is what it is. You gotta just accept your losses at some point, right? And with the Bills' defensive line, I think it was one of those decisions that wasn't really a surprise for too many, but it was just a decision they had to make. And I think it was the best for everybody. I think it might be good for Basham to, get just out of Buffalo, get into a spot. Sometimes that's all players need. And for the Bills, it's just I don't think he would have played too much for us anyways this year. So it's just I think it's one of those moves that kind of just it sucks to see, but it's just in the best interest for both the team and the player. So that was one kind of surprise that popped up. But when you look at the final roster, what really surprises you? Just pops out to you when you look at the 53 man.
Yeah, well, I think first of all, I want to say I'm pretty sure we both predicted that out of a keeping, cutting, trading, we both said that Basham would get traded. So look at us go. But for a overview, I would say some of the names that stand out. It's nice to see a guy like Kingsley Jonathan crack the 53 man. That's pretty impressive. I have to say that. I know he was around last season, became familiar with everybody, and then he comes back a year later and makes it. So that's a really nice accomplishment for him. Hopefully he can perform well in the regular season. I would have loved for there to have been a spot for a guy like Darrington Evans, but there unfortunately wasn't. Just too much maybe of a logjam at the running back position, and they've decided they'd like to go with a guy who I predict maybe like Deontay Hardy for the special teams duties. So just wasn't a role for him there. I believe, did he end up somewhere else?
Yeah, I believe he ended up in Miami, actually.
Okay.
I think they picked him up. Let me double check that.
So if that's the case, well, we could be seeing him at least twice, maybe third if that's a playoff matchup. But very interesting there. So we'll see how that works out for them. Um, and otherwise, it's unfortunate to see a guy like Matt Barkley have to leave, but with an injury, it's kind of almost dead weight to keep him around. So it makes sense. We'll see what transpires with him. But of course, that means Kyle Allen QB2, and of course, then we beat the Bills. Picked up, if I'm going to say it right, Shane Buechele out of Kansas City. So you wouldn't suspect him to see any action, maybe a couple kneel downs if a game's out of reach. But I believe he was an SMU Mustang,
I believe so as
if I'm not
well.
mistaken. So that's kind of what I took away. And then, of course, Isabella not cracking 53 men. However, the practice squad, which means Justin Shorter, makes it. I know we had both kind of supported that and also predicted it. So, yeah, those would be my main takeaways for what I saw.
Yeah, I don't think there were, like you said, there's not too many like real big surprises. But yeah, the one that I was gonna also bring up, yeah, Kingsley Jonathan. I mean, to be an undrafted 2022 draft pick, well, not draft pick, 2022 prospect, he fought for a spot this year out of Syracuse. It's cool to see somebody relatively close to Buffalo crack the roster there. So and he looked good, man. He looked good in the preseason, and I think that was one of the big reasons why they felt comfortable enough just kind of giving up on giving up on Boogie Basham. Was they saw him come in. I really thought he looked great in the preseason. He's got some good pass rush moves. His spin move was on display a little bit in the preseason, but yeah, he's a guy that it's awesome to see. It's just cool to see undrafted free agent guys, really make their way onto the roster and just fight for that spot. Other than that, yeah, there's not too many shocks to me. I mean, I guess one of them would have been that they opted to keep on the practice squad Ty Johnson over Darrington Evans, because Darrington Evans, even though he's in Miami, he's still, I believe, on their practice squad. I don't think he's on their official 53 man. But that was kind of a shock to me. I know Ty Johnson he looked good. This is no knock against Ty Johnson. It's just when you have a guy like Darrington Evans who's younger, was on the team all the way up leading up to now. He wasn't, just a recent signing. It just kind of was a little bit of a shock, but who knows? That also could have been one of those decisions that they said, we're going to let him, walk a little bit and let him go get another chance somewhere else because, they didn't maybe think that he would have an opportunity in Buffalo at all. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it stinks to see him go, especially to Miami. If he would have gone anywhere else, it would have been better. I also was a little bit shocked with Alex Austin and kind of getting cut over some of the other guys just because, it's another draft pick. I know it was a 7th rounder, but, it always is tough to see a draft pick go. So you did see both of them go in the 7th round. Both went to Houston too, I believe. So it is what it is. The Bills have, I believe, led the way since 2017 and players getting picked up off waivers with, I think, 16. So they have a lot of guys that, it stinks when you have a roster this well put together. You're going to have guys that get picked up. So that it stinks, but they also did sign somebody. They signed Jermaine Ifedi, so everybody was yelling, screaming about some offensive tackle depth because they needed it, rightfully so. They needed it, and to get a guy who's played in the NFL a while, he was in Seattle for a little bit, and he's bounced around with some teams, and he's played well or decent when he's played, right? He's been up and down, but he's played a lot of snaps in the NFL. That's the important part. So he's a veteran that can come in. So that for me, just kind of the standouts for that. What to you when you look at the roster is kind of disappointing? I know you kind of said Darrington Evans. Was there anybody else that kind of disappointed you? I know you went into a little bit of Matt Barkley as well. Barkley was it was a tougher situation. Obviously, he's a fan favorite in Buffalo. Everybody loves him in Buffalo. So was that really the number one thing for you when you saw somebody like Matt Barkley, just kind of a fan favorite go? Was that really the biggest kind of disappointment when it came to this roster?
I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily call it a disappointment. It's because of a reason, an injury. It's just not intelligent to keep somebody around taking up a spot with that occurrence. What I was going to refer back to, which I thought was interesting, is I don't know if you saw the amount of waiver claims put in for Nick Broker, who joined Alex Austin in Houston. That really caught my eye that he was that coveted around the league.
Yeah. I mean, that was another one of those situations where if he was an offensive tackle, I think he would be on this roster right now. But that was not the guards were not the issue really here so far in Buffalo. It's been the tackles. They needed to make a move at tackles, and if you would have kept Broker, you would have had him behind Ryan Bates, David Edwards, Alec Anderson, who they also decided they wanted to keep, Osiris Torrance, Connor McGovern. So there's just a lot of guys there, and yeah, it stinks. He was a guy like we said. It just stinks to see that your draft picks go, but it might be cool to see him get a chance now in Houston to protect a rookie quarterback. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a cool one to see him and in Houston in general, because they got a lot of former Bills over there. You know, Devin Singletary's even over there as well. Robert Woods is over there too. So they got, and I believe Jerry Hughes is still there as well. So yeah, they got a lot of Bills over there. And I don't know if they still have Case Keenum, if he got cut. I don't think I heard him get cut, so I think he still is there as well. So a lot of former Bills over there in Houston. But yeah, I mean, for me, not too many disappointments. Like you said, it's not really disappointments. It's just it's just the business of the NFL. It's just it sucks to see these guys go. But at the end of the day, they're not really disappointments because you didn't. I don't think either of us necessarily, whether it was a Darrington Evans or a Nick Broker or an Alex Austin, we didn't necessarily think 100% they were going to make the roster. We kind of knew there was a chance that they would get cut. So it's like you said, not really disappointment, just unfortunate.
It's kind of like Shane Ray too. It's a guy that you would love to see make it, but it's just not logical to keep someone around that won't be able to contribute. Referring back to Barkley as well. So
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. So before we get on to week one though, I got one last little thing about the 53 man. They did also bring in another linebacker. Right, they brought in over from Houston. So Houston, Buffalo are trading a lot of players right now. Christian Kirksey, veteran, leader over there. I believe he was a captain in Houston. So just linebacker, middle linebacker, can fight for that middle linebacker spot. I like the move. I think it's a good one. But that kind of leads me to my last question. There's two really main spots I think that we would both agree. I think a lot of fans would agree that there's still areas to improve. And I think it's just offensive tackle, linebacker. I think those are the top two. So in your opinion, which one is a bigger need to fill? Is it still a huge concern for you with both of them at kind of making a move there with Ifedi and with Kirksey? So which one do you is a bigger problem still? And do you think it's a huge need?
I would say you did shore up a little bit with the acquisitions of Ifedi and Kirksey, but if I had to pick, it's really tough call here. I'm going to say the linebacker position only because I think there was a bigger loss from Edmonds than what O-line was, because we saw an improvement from Pittsburgh to Chicago, but we don't have a true slot in going to have the same production value as Edmonds for the linebacker position. So I would say if you had to pick one, I would go with those defensive linebackers.
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, it's also just offensive tackle to me when you look at it. Spencer Brown played last year, and he wasn't obviously the greatest, but Allen was still able to do what he does. The offense was still able to be a top offense in the league, where this defense, I think you're seeing, obviously we didn't see really too much of Terrell Bernard because he had his injury. He was battling. He didn't play. We haven't seen Kirksey yet. But if Tyrell Dotson, to me, if he's the starting day one linebacker, middle linebacker, and look, he's by no means a horrible player. It's just he can struggle in certain areas, and the biggest one being, coverage. He kind of struggles in that area, where that's my concern with if we just have to ride Dodson out the whole season. I think he would be a great piece to throw in and out of the linebacker spot. I just don't think he's the number one starting middle linebacker right now. So I think it's got to be middle linebacker, just due to, I think even if the tackles struggle, Allen can still make up for it, where I'm not sure if this defense can make up for average to below average linebacker play. But we still have to see, like you said, we have to see Kirksey still. We have to see, we might not even see Fetty too much unless there's an injury or Spencer Brown's really struggling. So yeah, I agree with you there. I think it's the middle linebacker position. Maybe they make a move at the deadline if it's not working out, if something's not working out there. But I am excited to see Kirksey in that spot. I'm excited to see how he does there. But let's move on though to week 1. It's right around the corner. I mean, it's one of those things where once I feel like you get within 2 weeks, you're just kind of itching for it. Once you get past the preseason, you get the final cuts. You have that like week and a half ish until it starts, till week 1 starts. And I've had fantasy drafts this past week. I know you probably have as well. It's just everything's coming together. You're really just getting excited for the season to start. But we got week 1 where it's the end game of the week, Monday night in there. The fact I just have to also ask you about this. I've seen them call it jet life, which is kind of comical in my opinion. I mean, one, you play with the Giants there, so I don't know why calling it jet life makes any sense. Two, you haven't been better than the Giants in the past however many years, or majority of the past however many years. I know I looked at the Giants have been better or equal in 5 of the last 7 years, including the only equal being 1 year. They lost the last three years in a row battle to the Giants. So the Giants have been better the last 3 years than the Jets. So it's kind of comical to me. I just had to bring that up so you can allude to that kind of a little bit. Your thoughts on that, and also then what do you think is the biggest challenge for the Bills going into week 1? So jet life thoughts, biggest challenge going into week 1.
Well, it is the low-hanging fruit, simple one-letter replacement, J&M. So I get that, but yeah, no, you do share with a team that has had more success. Obviously, more championships, 2+, and because 2 from the Eli Manning era and many more, or a few more before that. So that is funny. But I think so. I get it. I get the reasoning why, but definitely no, they are not the main tenants or the featured tenants by any stretch of imagination. But yeah, overall thoughts. I mean, huge divisional battle that will have implications later on. I think that should be noted. Uh, I was going back and forth with how the 4-team division will look. And if I had to predict, I still do think, take the homer bias out of it, that the Bills will finish with another crown. But the real question for me was that 2-3 Jets Dolphins, and then at the beginning, kind of May June, I was kind of down south there with Miami. But as things have changed, I'm going to flip flop that and say it's the New York Jets at 2. So that just goes to show how much more it means. But yeah, I know that there's a lot of roster comparisons, perhaps, that would do well to look at to see who might have the advantage on paper.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to kind of these two teams they're both interesting teams. I think they match up pretty well. I think they have similar roster builds. I mean, we're gonna go a little bit into the position battles a little bit later. So I think it's tough. The biggest challenge for the Bills, I think it's going to be just wiping off those week 1 jitters, just hoping that there's no rust there. I think that's always the biggest thing for teams is just, are you going to have a ton of rust going into the season? And I know I saw a stat actually saying there's 8 teams that didn't play their starting quarterbacks last year in the preseason at all, or 12 or something. No, 11. 11 quarterbacks didn't play week 1. They to start, or not week 1, preseason, and they went 3-8. And then there was 8 this year that didn't play at all. And obviously Allen and they played a little bit, so I don't know. Hopefully that can help a little bit. So I think just the biggest challenge is going to be just wiping everything off and getting used to it's week 1 now. This is full go. This isn't preseason anymore. This isn't training camp. This is regular season football. They got to get they got to battle. But when you look at this Bills team, what do you think will be the biggest advantage to them? Do you think is it just Josh Allen over Aaron Rodgers? Is it this now new kind of offensive core that they got going with Kincaid coming in? Is it the defensive line, with these rotations, the secondary with their experience? What do you think just is the biggest advantage for Buffalo. Even it could be even Sean McDermott over Robert Saleh. What do you think is the biggest advantage for them?
If I'll say two things. One, if you had to pick a position group, I think that the wideouts would be something to look at. I think Diggs obviously established. If Davis can revert back to maybe more like a 2021 season, that would definitely go to help the cause. And then the addition of Dalton Kincaid, I think that's really, really bumping you up a higher notch. Garrett Wilson, obviously very talented. You also have CJ Uzoma and also Randall Cobb is joining Aaron Rodgers there. But if I had to pick a positional group, I think I'd take wideouts. But also, not necessarily a specific group, but just the fact that they know what it is to be an elite team. The Jets really do not. You'd have to go all the way back. Well, of course, they have the longest playoff drought. The last time that was a Mark Sanchez-led team, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the fact that they've been at the top of the rungs before, I think that also goes to play in as well. So I'd say those two reasons.
Yeah, I didn't even actually think about the whole experience there. That's definitely one thing that will play a huge factor. Sean McDermott having more experience, with a team and with the pressure of having a good team. We haven't seen like Robert Saleh with a team that really has had this high of expectations. If I have to go with position group, receivers one that I was definitely thinking about, but I'll go with defensive line. Not necessarily thinking that the Bills have a better defensive line or it's significantly better than the Jets defensive line. I just think when it comes to the Bills defensive line versus the Jets offensive line, the Bills defensive line, that is a huge advantage in my opinion, that they have to get after it. This offensive line is still a shaky offensive line. So it's just, yeah, I think that's the biggest advantage for the Bills, at least, is just they have so many guys that can get after the quarterback, that can make plays, or at least have the expectation to this year, and I think are showing that they should be able to. So I think that's, for me, the biggest thing is the defensive line. When we look, though, at the positional groups, we're just going to do that quick, though. Just quick. Jets, Bills. I'll go over each one. You just say which one to you has the better positional battle. We'll start with quarterback, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Who wins that position battle?
Well, it's pretty tough to say. From an overall standpoint, Aaron Rodgers. However, in the current present moment, I think that Josh Allen has more of an athletic ability. I think that he's able to make kind of maybe more of a playmaker, perhaps, with hurdling, with longer throws. So for the current present moment, I'm going to take Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm going to take Allen as well. I just think, it's just, when you look at, the play, especially last year, I know Rodgers had his issues over there in Green Bay, but I just think it's got to be Josh Allen. He's still, probably improving, to where Rodgers might be the opposite. He might be on the decline. I still think he's going to have a great season with the Jets. I think he's still a great quarterback in this league, but it's just, I think when you look at the two, Josh Allen just has the upper hand right now, especially because, like you said, the athleticism kind of sets him apart there. When we look at running backs, that's a little bit of a different question. That's a tougher one. Jets obviously got Breece Hall coming off the injury, Dalvin Cook, Michael Carter. Those are their top three. And then the Bills, right? They got James Cook, they got Damian Harris, and they got Latavius Murray. So who do you think, is it a push? Is it a Jets, or is it Bills there that has the advantage?
I think I'll pretty easily go ahead with the gangrene there. When healthy, Breece Hall amazing. I think, are we still kind of waiting to hear about his status?
Yeah.
But if he's not available, you have Dalvin Cook available. Funny enough, the brothers will match up, but no question there. I'm going to take the green and white there.
Yeah, I'm going to lean green and white as well. I mean, you got Dalvin James Cook versus James Dalvin Cook, which is also still one of my funniest things. If you didn't know that, by the way, yeah, James Cook's middle name is Dalvin, and Dalvin Cook's middle name is James. So it's really just that's if you didn't know that, if you ever have trivia, I guess that's a great trivia answer. But yeah, I'm going with the Jets as well, but I'll also throw in there running back. Who really cares who has the upper hand in that one? I think you'd probably agree with me there. I think a lot of people agree. At the end of the day, yes, running back matters, but I don't think it matters that much where it's going to change the outcome of a game. That's why when Bills fans, I think, have learned, when there's a big running back, that wants to trade or wants to get traded or wants to get released, yeah, the Bills would love him. Bills fans would love him, but by no means do Bills fans really care about getting a running back. You've seen the value of a running back kind of diminish over the past few years, which I think we talked about a few weeks ago actually. But yeah, it's the Jets, but at the end of the day, who cares? So now into the next one, we're gonna group this one together. Wide receiver, tight ends. We're gonna group them together. Jets, like you said, right? They got Garrett Wilson coming into the second year. Alan Lazard's there. Randall Cobb, McCall Hardman comes over now too as well. So they got some talent. They got some new guys that are coming in. The Bills, we kind of know them, right? Diggs, Davis, Sherfield comes over from Miami. Got Shakir still there. Hardy, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. You got a lot of real good weapons there. So who do you think has the upper hand there? Bills, Jets.
While the Jets don't are not a slouch of a group there, I'm going to take the Bills. I think established names, along with the addition of Kincaid, saw what he did with the Utes. So I think pretty not too much of a debate from me, at least. They're kind of like the running backs. Going to take the Bills with the wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills as well. I just think they have more proven guys with Allen when it comes to, especially the top two there. Knox is he's always a good threat, especially, within the red zone. He can make some plays there. So I think that kind of sets apart. And I think, what Sherfield and Hardy have shown me, I don't know. I would assume that's better than a 34-year-old Randall Cobb at this point. He might even be older than that. It might be younger as well, give or take a year or two. But yeah, Randall Cobb, I don't imagine is going to be better than Deontay Hardy or Trent Sherfield. So yeah, I'm going with the Bills as well. Just also Dildo and Kincaid coming in. That's just huge. I think he's going to be a huge weapon for Allen. But now we move on to offensive line. Offensive line's a tougher one. Bills, we've gone over them a little bit. Obviously had their struggles in the preseason. They have their question marks as well. But the Jets also have question marks. They got Dwayne Brown, Mekhi Becton at tackles. The other Connor McGovern is their center. And then Laken Tomlinson and Elijah Vera Tucker. So it's an unproven group. It's got a lot of questions. I'll start this one off. I'm gonna go straight push. Like it's gonna be something that's decided throughout the season. I don't think you can say right now Bills, Jets. If I had to pick, I would lean Bills a little bit. Just because they might look better as well because Allen is a little more mobile. But it's just both O-lines are average to below average. And I don't expect either O-line to all of a sudden be a really, really, really great O-line. So it's a push to me. If I had to pick, I'd go Jets or Bills. Sorry, Bills. So what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say without the disguise of your quarterback helping your cause, pretty close. I wouldn't lock it in immediately, but I'll actually lean for the Jets in that debate. Again, I haven't watched tape, and maybe as much as I should to pick that. But from what I do know, I would lean the Jets. But that very well could change. Like we said, maybe even after 3.5 hours are done on September 11th.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could be a week by week thing too. Like there are two O lines, like we said, that are just unproven. Onto the defense side of the ball now. Defensive line. The guys that are going to be attacking the quarterbacks, attacking everybody, getting after the quarterback. Jets, John Franklin Myers, Al Woods, Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Quentin Jefferson, former Buffalo Bills over there. So they have a very good defensive line. I think everybody's kind of known that. And the Bills, I think people definitely know that they have a good line or defensive line, right? Greg Rousseau, though, needs to take that step. You guys have Ed Oliver need to take another step. But you also brought in Leonard Floyd, who proven guy. DeQuan Jones, phenomenal season last season. Tim Settle still, kind of got to prove a little bit. Jordan Phillips, when he's healthy, has been able to get after the quarterback. AJ Epinesa is kind of coming into his own. Shaq Lawson, right? So they got also a lot of guys down the line that are very still kind of raw, but also guys that are proven. So you have a little bit of mix of both. I'm gonna also start this one again. I'm gonna go Jets. I just think they're more proven. Like I said, it's just the Bills have Leonard Floyd. The Bills have Von Miller coming back from injury, but every other guy still to me on the Bills offensive line. Yes, I expect them to make the jump. I expect them to be better. It's still though when you're looking at it the Jets are just, I think, more proven already. So I'm going to go Jets defensive line just a little bit, but that's another thing I think that could change come midseason, come, week 3, week 4. So what do you think defensive line wise, Jets, Bills?
Yeah, this one was pretty close too. If I had to pick a push from what's been said so far, this is where I would apply it. But if you had to lean one way, I would also lean the Jets, but I would be more of a push for how to rank this one.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, like we said, there's a lot of good battles here. There's a lot of good position battles. But moving on to linebacker, this one I'm going to keep short, simple. I mean, the Jets got Quincy Williams, Chad Surratt, who's a rookie, C.J. Mosley, Jamie Sherwood, and then the Bills, we know who they got, right? Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Dorian Williams, Tara Dodson, and Christian Kirksey now coming in. So I'm going with the Jets. I just think we kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. Bills unproven guys besides Matt Milano, and a guy who's getting older but coming over from an all other team in Houston with Kirksey. I just think the Jets automatically that's a win. But again, that's another position that maybe mid-season we look at and say, oh, it's more even than we thought it would be, or the Bills might even have the upper hand. So what do you think linebacker wise?
Yeah, another tough one. I think by a slight margin, I would go with the Jets maybe because of the supporting cast, because Milano definitely headlines the Bills for that. But I think, would you consider maybe C.J. Mosley the leader there? I think that supporting cast maybe outranks the Bills by a little bit, but we'll see how that performs. I think Milano's always a pick for an X factor, and so I think maybe he can do that once again come the 11th.
Yeah. All right. Last position battle, though. We're not going to get into special teams. Just special teams. I think it's going to be pretty even. I think both have pretty decent special teams. So, but last one, defensive backs. Jets, obviously Sauce Gardner, phenomenal rookie of the season last year. DJ Reed's there. Bryce Hall. Michael Carter II there at corner. And then safety, they got Jordan Whitehead, Adrian Amos, Ashton Davis even backing up there. Chuck Clark, fortunately, put on an IR for them. And then the Bills, we know who they got, right? It's been safety. You got the two Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Taylor Rapp now joins the group as well. Tre'Davious White there at corner with Elam, Tron Johnson, Dane Jackson, Christian Benford. When I look at this one, I'm going to lean Bills, actually. I think the Bills have the deeper defensive back group. And I just think even though they do have an unproven, not unproven, Dane Jackson, I think actually has proven to be a very good option at number 2 corner there. So I think, yeah, you have Benford and Elam that are still a little bit question marks, but I think otherwise you have guys that are proven, and the Bills, I think, just have the better defensive back group there. So what do you think with defensive backs?
I would agree with the Bills. While Gardner might be the best name out of anybody combined, I think when looked at altogether, I think that was the duo of Poyer and Hyde really is what pushed the Bills over the top there. So I'd take the Bills.
Yeah, I agree there. Before we get into just the last little bit of my question for you and the HLC's day in history, we're going to fly through this. I think next week, right after we talk about the game a little bit, we'll give our reasoning of each, but we'll just do picks for right now. So it's just picks because we're running here on a little bit on time. So just, yeah, simple Bills opponent. Which one are you picking? Week 1, Jets, Bills. Who are you going with?
I would love it to be 6-0 in the division, but I'm going to take the Jets week 1 just because I don't see a sweep happening. But that'll benefit the Bills later on. So Jets.
Yeah, I'm going Bills though. I'm going to go Bills. I just think the Jets are going to have too much pressure, and I think that they're going to have some rust, especially if they struggle to start the game. But I guess, yeah, for the Bills Jets, we'll give our reasoning just because the game's going to happen. We're not going to give it after. So now, all right, ready? Raiders Bills in
Bills.
Buffalo. Bills. I'm going Bills as well. Actually, that might have been away. No,
It's
home.
home opener.
That is home. Sorry. Yes. Then week 3, you got going to Washington. Bills or Commanders?
I'll see you there. Bills.
Yeah, I'm going Bills as well. So 2-1. We both are, or I'm 3-0. You're 2-1. Going down to Miami, week 4. Who you got?
I think that's actually going to be home.
Yes, home. I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
And so with that, I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, I'm going Bills as well. I think they start off strong. I think my answers might change here. So then you're in London. It's technically a home game. Jaguars in London, though. Who are you going there?
I think we get The Bills get revenge for that E.G. Manuel led going down a big, coming back, but then losing it in London the last time. Going to take the Bills in a very tough battle, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jags. I just one game scares me. I think that there'll be some stuff going on there, but yeah, I'm going Jags. So then we got Thursday or Sunday night. I'm sorry, Sunday night. Giants coming to Buffalo, Week 6. Giants Bills.
Give me the Bills in another great battle. Dayball coming home, but I think the Bills have the upper hand.
Yeah, I think I'm going Bills as well. Yeah, so Bills is Week 6 for me. Week 7, Patriots, Bills in New England this time. Who you got there?
Give me the Bills again. I think they're clearly a better team than the Patriots.
I think this could be a trap game, actually. I think that the Bills could end up losing this one. Patriots, I still think they're going to have a great defense. So, yeah, I'm going to go Patriots there. A little bit of a shocker. Then Thursday night on Amazon Prime, which everybody I know loves. So, yeah, Week 8, Buccaneers coming to Buffalo. Who you got?
Candidate for one of the biggest blowouts. Personally, in my opinion, Bills take it.
Yeah, Bills as well. I agree there. Week 9, going to Cincy, the return to Cincy on, I believe, also Sunday night as well. Yep, Sunday night as well.
While it would be great to right the ship from the past matchup and what I think would have happened had the early January game been played, don't think it's going to happen. Going to take Cincinnati here at home, being certainly a factor.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to take Cincy as well. I just think trap game, another one of those trap games coming off a big win against the Bucks. But I'm going with Cincy as well. Week 10, Broncos in Buffalo. They're coming to Buffalo. I believe it's also a night game. I think that's Monday night. Who do you got there? Broncos, Bills.
An improved, and I think a team that will do better than they did last season in Denver. Give me the Bills still.
Yeah, Sean Payton's a great coach, but just don't think they have the talent to pull it off, especially in Buffalo. Then Week 11, Jets coming to Buffalo now this time. I'm just going to keep it simple. I think they'll split. I have them winning Week 1. I think the Bills are going to drop this one in Buffalo. It's going to hurt, but they're going to do it, I think. So I'm going Jets.
I have the opposite. I think they drop Week 1, but they even it and making sure it's a split. No getting broomed or swept. Bills take it in Orchard Park versus the Jets.
Yeah, and then after Thanksgiving, on my birthday, actually, they got the Eagles in Philly. Who do you got in that one? I'm going to go Bills just because I'm not going to predict them to lose on my birthday.
Possible matchup to happen in mid-February, perhaps. In the regular season version, though, unfortunately, I will say Philadelphia.
Yeah, that one's a tough one. Week 13 is the bye week. Coming off the bye week, though, they get to go to Kansas City. Tough stretch starting up with Philly, and then after the bye week, it keeps going. So who do you got there, Kansas City or Buffalo?
Unfortunately, again, I think the regular season success runs out here, and I would take the Chiefs, though 2 in a row in the regular season could make it 3, but going to take the red, big red there in the Chiefs.
I'm gonna go Buffalo. I think coming off the bye week will help. So I think it's gonna be, it's gonna be a good game. I would not be shocked though, like you said, it should be a good game, right? Two top teams. So I'm gonna go Buffalo. That one, Week 15, we got Dallas coming to Buffalo. America's team or America's team? Which one are you picking?
Always a fun matchup here, and I think the team for the country whose colors match more closely will take it. Bills.
Yeah. All right. So then we got 3 games left. Week 16, 2 days before Christmas. Are the Bills going to give us a Christmas dub versus the Chargers? And that one is in LA. Are you going to be celebrating a Bills win on Christmas?
I think that we are. I believe the Chargers, personally, are one of the more overrated teams. I think analytics will kill Staley as it did in that disaster of a game in North Florida last playoffs. Give me the Bills. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa early on the 23rd.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills as well. I just think coaching, like you said, coaching is just, I think, the biggest factor in this one. But, yeah, we'll see on that one. Then we got New Year's Eve. We got coming to Buffalo, New England now this time. I, again, think they're going to split. I think that the Bills are going to pull this one out to probably end the Patriots' hopes if they still are in the playoffs at that point, or playoffs run at that point. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills there. Who do you got?
To complete the sweep of the Patriots, the Bills take it.
Yep. All right. And then last week, Week 18, Dolphins in Miami. Shouldn't be a heat issue this time. So I'm going to go with the Bills as well. I think that the only team they actually sweep in the division is the Dolphins, surprisingly. So I'm going with the Bills there.
To also complete the sweep, I'm going to take the Bills. So that has me at 13-4.
Oh, I completely blanked. I think my only losses were Eagles.
I think you had that as a win, actually.
Oh yeah, I did have that as a win. Actually, then I think I might have had 14-3. Now that I think about it, I had the Cincy game loss, Patriots loss, Jags loss.
Well, and one of the Jet losses, I think you had as well.
Oh yes, and one of the Jets losses. So 4, yeah, so 13-4.
Same 13-4.
13-4. So same as last year. See how they do. That is our quick predictions. We'll dive a little more into it next episode. But let's finish her off here. We got my question. Let's see if you can get this one right before we do HLC's Day in History. So the Bills' past 5 seasons. Do you know what their record is on opening day in the past 5 seasons? I can give you the teams. So 2018 to 2022. 2018 was Baltimore. 2019 was the Jets. 2020 was also the Jets. And then 2021 was Pittsburgh and the Rams last season. So what do you think the record was out of 5 games?
Would that be 3-2?
Yes, it would be 3-2. Do you know the losses?
Steelers and then the Ravens.
Yep, and the Ravens was the 47-3 game. That was bad. Then you have the Jets 17-16. I remember that game very, very well. I remember
John
that.
Smokey.
I remember I thought that was lost. Josh, I know, struggled that game a little bit, but 17-16, then 2020, 27-17, a little bit of an easier win that time. Pittsburgh, I think a lot of people remember that loss because I think that was the year where everybody was like, you're kidding that we lost that game. 23-16, that was a tough loss. And then everybody remembers last year just whooped on the Super Bowl champs 31-10. So 3-2, all right, history. A lot of Jets in the past 6 years. This will be the 4th time in the past 7 years that the Bills have played the Jets opening week, and they are 3-0 in those games so far. Can they make it 4-0? We'll see. But to finish it off, what do you got for HLC's A Day in History?
So to refer back to those hot weather games in Miami, I had experienced one myself in person last year, but hopefully the case is not that it will be a repeat as it is in early January this year. But another example of when it was. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. So I misspoke that. We're not going down to Miami for this, but it was a hot game versus Miami in Orchard Park. So in 1983, hottest home game in Bills history, 90 degrees. Yeah, how do you like it, Dolphins? Versus Miami. Bills, unfortunately, are shut out 12-0. Maybe that heat did actually benefit the Dolphins as they're quite used to it. Miami quarterbacks a combined 9 for 23 for 46 yards. Not too impressive there. But here is maybe the most interesting part. The Dolphins kicker scores all the points for the Fish, reminiscent of that Bills at Jets COVID year, Tyler Bass scoring all 18 points. I'm sure many remember that. But Uwe von Schaman, the Dolphins kicker, good for 33 yards, 23 yards, 36 yards, and 50 yards to shut the Bills out. But how about that for a name, first of all? And then, so the Bills also have a history of hosting the Dolphins in quite warm weather. I don't know what the tally was week 3 last year. I would assume pretty close to, if not above 90. But glad that won't be the case this year by any means.
Yeah. I think they did that. They saw the issues everybody had last year with the OSHA violations people were bringing up and everything. But yeah, that it certainly is a name. But tough loss for the Bills that day. And I will say, I guess the Bills, maybe they had themselves in the sun, their sideline in the sun, and the Dolphins on accident they swapped it. But yeah, well, you know how Dolphins fans love that, right? They love to talk about the sun being right on making what's 20-degree difference, 15-degree difference or something like that with the shade and for Miami's bench, and then the away team is just right in the sun. So we don't have to worry about that this year though, right? Bills play them in January, so in Miami. Hopefully it's not that hot that time of year. But yeah, so great one again. But you did get this one this time. That moves you to 3-4 on the year for our trivia. Let us know down below if you guys got that right. If you missed one, what your favorite game out of those 5 years was. And then if you were around during the 1983, let us know if you remember that game as well. If you thought that the Heat did play a factor, let us know down below. Obviously, Hunter and I were not even a thought at that point. So let us know down below what you guys think. Great one again. Hunter, any last words before we hop off?
Not much other than when we see you next, there will be a tally in either one of three columns. Win, loss, wouldn't suspect it, but the tie possibly. But hopefully that is a W. So we'll see what we will be speaking about next once a game is underway the next time we see you.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. It's gonna be next week's gonna be a fun one. We're gonna have a lot to talk about, I'm sure. Hopefully, all good things. Hopefully everybody stays healthy as well. We're hoping, as long as everybody stays healthy. If the Bills lose a close one, it's week 1 at the end of the day. So it's gonna be a good one. We'll get into that. Sabres coming up as well. They're going to be getting going soon, but for the next week or 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be Bills, Bills, Bills. So we will see you guys next week. As always, thanks for listening, and go Buffalo.